TV, online, and on the go in high definition live. This is WSBT News at 11.
Well, good evening. I'm Rick Shutt. We have breaking news out of South Bend. A deadly plane crash tonight just southeast of the South Bend Regional Airport. Now, preliminary reports say 4 are dead and a number of injuries as well. Here is an image from the crash scene. You can see the plane, a Beechcraft Premier 1, head first into this home on North Iowa Street, just southeast of the airport, with the body of that plane cracked almost in half. Now we begin our team coverage with WSBT anchor Diane Daniels, who was one of the first at the scene tonight. She joins us live from South Bend with more on this deadly plane crash. Diane.
Well, Rick, you mentioned the updated information from the FAA preliminary report indicating we now have 4 dead by the looks of things, 2 people who were on the plane, 2 on the ground. We know that a total of 4 people were on the plane. We also know that 3 people are being treated at Memorial Hospital, 2 in fair condition, 1 in serious condition requiring surgery. We also know at 4:16 this afternoon, the South Bend Airport was preparing to have this plane that had taken off out of Tulsa, Oklahoma land. It's a private jet, but it experienced electrical problems on board.
We do have fatalities and we do have injuries.
The scene on Iowa Street is surreal, and although the plane rests primarily on one home in the 1500 block, 2 other nearby homes were also damaged.
It's a very dangerous situation because of the jet fuel.
That jet fuel prompted an evacuation of the surrounding neighborhood.
The jet engine fuel, but you could smell it. You could smell it. That's the reason why they made everybody leave the houses.
Then my front door flew open, and then I heard a big boom. I ran outside and got my kids to come inside.
City buses were brought in to provide transportation to a Red Cross shelter.
They're loading up the evacuees from the houses.
The 8-seat plane had intended to land on runway 9 at the airport, and briefly it did.
Touched down at least one time and then started to climb again at that point.
From there, the plane then went south and east of the airport, crashing onto Iowa Street. Amazingly, there was no fire after it hit. But even so, the havoc wreaked here in this neighborhood likely will leave it forever changed.
Live so close to the airport, you kind of expect you might eventually see it one day, but hope you don't.
That was Diane Daniels reporting from the scene. Now let's mention that the area highlighted that you're going to see here in just a second. Let's show you the area highlighted. It was originally evacuated because of jet fuel leak from the crash. Keller, Elwood, Iowa, Bendix streets border that area. That's south of the South Bend Regional Airport. Now, people on Bendix, Ryer streets, they're now being allowed back into their homes after that evacuation. Officials say that North Iowa Street neighbors, though, won't be allowed back in until the morning. For those who could not return with no place to stay, they turned to a shelter set up by the Red Cross at the South Bend Firefighters Union Hall. Now, that's near the airport. Initially, local Red Cross officials planned to set up cots for dozens of affected homeowners, but an overnight stay and with all the clear given for many to return back home, that was not the needed case. Several, though, did plan to spend the night there, like Andre Gunn, who's trying to make sense of what happened.
It's a surreal situation, you know. You never think a plane would hit a house, you know, especially in our neighborhood. You know, my prayers just go out to the families, the families that are in the neighborhood, and the pilot and the people that was on the plane.
Boy, such a quiet afternoon, and it changed in an instant for this neighborhood. Now, we spoke with a woman who was actually in one of the homes hit by the plane. WSBT's Rachel Lake joins us now live from the scene of the plane crash. Rachel, first of all, she's okay, right?
Rick, she is okay, and so is her son. And of course, this is the crash that left them both so rattled, along with the entire neighborhood.
It's a day Patricia Kabalski will never forget.
But my roof is caved in, there was glass everywhere. The front of the house, windows busted out. I just grabbed my son and got him some clothes and we ran out.
Patricia and her 6-year-old son live in one of the houses where the plane crashed. Both were home at the time, but got out okay.
We could have been killed.
But she's worried about her neighbors.
I just hope they're okay. I don't know. I don't know anything at this point, really.
Mary Jane Klaber lives right across the street from where the plane hit.
And I have a big picture window, and the plane was coming right toward me. and I was afraid it was coming in the house, and it swerved and went across the street.
First thing we heard was the bang, crash, the explosion. Then we got closer. From outside, we could see the smoke. And then we went down, and you could see where the back of the house was. One of the houses was completely gone, and you could smell the gas.
Becky Morningstar saw what happened on the news and immediately rushed over. Her Aunt Ruth lives in this house at the end of Iowa Street.
I'll do it okay right now because I know you're okay, and you too, Randy.
Ruth wasn't home.
I love you. I love you too, Patty.
But Patricia was.
At this point, I'm not worried about material things. I'm just glad my son and I made it out and we're alive.
Now, there were dozens of people on the scene all day today, many in disbelief. But the overwhelming sentiment is that whatever was damaged can be replaced. And of course, everybody is praying for the families of those who did not survive. Reporting live in South Bend, Rachel Lake, WSBT Channel 22 News.
All right, Rachel, thanks for that live update from the crash scene. Now, we are waiting seconds away from a press conference that's going on about the crash. Let's go to it right now and listen in to what investigators are saying in South Bend. Let's take a listen.
Performing my accident investigation on site. I have a team of investigators from around the country that will be responding to assist with this investigation. Those investigators are from the Federal Aviation Administration, both locally here in the South Bend area, as well as from our FAA headquarters in Washington, D.C. I have representatives from the airframe manufacturer and the engine manufacturer traveling in site and will be on site tomorrow afternoon. The process of the investigation will be to do a thorough investigation of the accident site and to do a forensic documentation of the wreckage path. The recovery of the wreckage will occur after that point to a secure location where we can do a more detailed evaluation. A preliminary report will be available between 7 to 10 days of the completion of the on-site investigation, in which we'll have just some basic facts of the investigation. The probable cause report, or what we call the brief report, will be issued around a year after following the accident, and we'll have the circumstances as well. The purpose of the investigation is not only just to find the probable cause of the investigation of the accident, but also to identify and remedy any issues that could have prevented this accident from occurring or occurring in the future. At this time, I can take a couple questions. I know it's cold, and I know that everyone's been out here for a long time. I will answer any questions I can from the NTSB standpoint, or direct it to the mayor's office or to the fire department. Thank you.
Can you update us on injuries, fatalities?
At this time, we're still sorting out the total number. At this time, we have 2 confirmed fatalities on board the aircraft. A third individual had sustained serious injuries. Another individual on board the aircraft has an unknown extent of injuries and is being monitored at a local area hospital. As for ground injuries, is to my best of my knowledge that there's only 1 serious injury at this time, and I'll direct that to the fire department, who has better information. Again, I'm just getting on site, and I understand that maybe you've heard some different numbers throughout the day, and I'll turn that over to the fire department to answer that question.
Yeah, at the time we were dispatched, initially approximately 4:20, that there was an airplane experiencing some sort of difficulty. En route, one of our engine companies witnessed the airplane go down in the neighborhood. Our arrival on scene was immediate. Our working to get the occupants out started instantly. We were able to get some of the occupants out right away. They were transported to the hospital immediately. There were 4 occupants in the plane, 2 fatalities. On the ground, there was 1 injury. All the houses, all the occupants in the houses have been accounted for, but we still need to search the residence. There is 1 residence that is still unstable, and we have not done a thorough search of it because of the instability of the residence, and it's going to take a long effort to get into that house. But as far as all the occupants that were accounted for have been accounted for. Iowa Street will still remain closed. It will remain closed until tomorrow morning at the earliest, and we'll notify the people when they will be able to come back to that area.
What about residents on Briar Street? they be able to return tonight?
Ryer Street, they will be able to come back. The problem is they do not have electricity at this time.
Is the house that's still unstable the one that the plane's up against?
No, it is the middle house, so the house directly north of where the incident occurred.
What exactly will it take to make that house stable tonight?
It's going to take an effort to just get it. What I believe they said is they're going to have to tear down a portion of the house to make it stable, and that probably won't be done till tomorrow.
But you're not expecting FAA has issued a preliminary report saying that 2 people on the ground are dead and 2 in the plane are dead. Please clarify for us.
No, there are no fatalities on the ground. The only fatalities were the occupants in the plane.
Except for the one home that hasn't been checked yet, right? That number may change.
The resident in that house has been accounted for. That resident stated there was no one else, but as a fire department, we still want to check the home just to make sure for our own 100%.
But you don't expect finding, at this point, you don't expect finding any homes?
No.
Is this the worst crash South Bend's seen?
Residential, yes.
And now you mentioned gravel pit crash that happened about 30 years ago. Can you talk about that a little bit?
There was a single or twin engine plane that went down right across the street here in the gravel pit. I want to say it was approximately 30 years ago. I was on the call, and the occupants walked away from that airplane.
Do you have an update on how the 3 people taken to the hospital are doing at this point?
No, you'll have to contact, they were taken to Memorial. You'll have to contact the public information officer for Memorial Hospital.
The 2 people on board the plane that are in serious condition and unknown condition, are they among the 3 taken to the hospital tonight?
Yes.
And the 2 people who died, were they dead on the scene?
At this time, we cannot confirm that.
All the people on board the plane, were they from Tulsa?
That, to the fire department's knowledge, we don't know exactly. That may come later.
Have you made contact with their families?
That's being done at this moment.
Is fuel still an issue right now?
The fuel is an issue. The leak has been stopped, but there still is fuel in the basement, and that is one of our major concerns, is the fuel.
Obviously not releasing any names yet.
No. Pending notification of the family, and they have not been notified yet.
Any ages? Can we get anything on that?
No, I'm sorry.
And just to clarify, how many people were injured on the ground?
There was 1 person injured on the ground.
Were they in one of the 3 homes when it happened? So if you can tell us which home was in?
I'm not exactly sure which home they were in. The occupants of the house where the plane went in, they were able to walk away, and I believe they already did an interview. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Assistant Chief, I'm with the Associated Press.
Well, there you go. An update from Assistant Fire Chief John Courtier from the South Bend Fire Department. We also heard briefly from an NTSB spokesperson as well. So preliminary reports of 4 dead, incorrect. They confirmed that 2 from the aircraft are killed. There's a 3rd in serious condition and unknown extent for the 4th passenger of that aircraft. Also, 1 serious injury from the ground. Electricity in that area has been shut off. There's still fuel leaking from the plane or in the basement of that home. So a lot to clear up tonight, a lot to get to. Of course, stay with us. We will have continuing coverage. We'll bring you up-to-the-minute information on our website, WSBT.com. Also on air, you can check first thing in the morning as well, starting at 5 a.m. for the latest on this plane crash as well. We're going to take a short break, and we will be right back.